up, everyone? It's me, Stef The Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and I am here live with my good friend, DC lawyer John Witherspoon, for this week's Royal Clubhouse. And in this segment, we are going to be discussing our Royal Zero of the week. And with that being said, John, take it away. Who is your Royal Zero of the week?
Well, unfortunately, my Royal Zero of the week is a collective Royal Zero of the week. And what I mean by that is the group of companies that are apparently allowing Meghan Markle to merch off of them. I cannot think of a person, a celebrity. People have criticized me for using the word celebrity to describe Meghan, but it's the best I can come up with. She's a high-profile person that people are trying to make a buck off of by apparently giving her merchandise that she can wear out in public and be photographed and so forth. She can then invest in the company, and there are all sorts of theories as to exactly what kind of compensation she's getting and so forth. But I just cannot think of a worse person in terms of her public profile, her reputation, and in particular, the way that she wears the items and carries the items that she's been asked to merch. To me, that is a no-brainer, that would be something to be avoided at all costs. The thing that really caught my eye as well in this regard is this business of these bags that are apparently, allegedly being crafted by these women in Rwanda or perhaps elsewhere in Africa, and then they're being shipped to Italy, apparently, and being finished there, and then they're being sold for some very, very high prices. Boy, I would just really prefer to see Meghan put her money where her mouth is and to actually do good, according to the slogan of Archewell, to actually help these women start their own companies and to learn how to not just do the dirty work or the preliminary work, rather, I probably should say, on these baskets or these bags, and then have them shipped over to people in Italy to be finished. I would like to see these women in Africa be given the opportunity to finish the entire bag and to collect all of the profit from it. And I would like to see some sort of training where they could be able to upskill and to figure out how to do the entire project rather than only doing a small part of it. So, as I said, I'm not particularly fond or impressed of these companies who are partnering with Meghan, even though they're apparently being paid well above the minimum wage or the average wage for the area where they live. I would much rather see them get some entrepreneur skills on their own and really lift themselves up. And I think, as I said, that's much more in keeping with what Archewell purports to be doing and what Meghan and Harry purport to be doing through their philanthropic efforts.
Well, it's easier to lift someone up when they don't have lead in them. That's for certain. So, yeah, I mean, John and I actually did a video on this a few months back where, yeah, one of Meg's companies that she's invested in, one of the first that she did, which was Clever Blends, was actually sued by a company who said, look, you know, your coffee contains lead. What the deuce, you divs. They did settle out of court, and it was completely confidential. We don't know the details of this. But yeah, it looks like Meg's choice in terms of where she's investing her money in, from the ones that we do know, which is Clever, but also as well Cester, however you pronounce it, right? They seem to be quite dubious in terms of their practices. Seem to be, I'll say, just like Meg's yourself, being extremely, extremely dubious. But yes, that is John's Royal Zero of the week. Basically, Meg's companies that she's invested in, Clever, Sesta, Kester, and whoever else she's invested in, right? Well, my royal zero of the week is Prince Harry. It's Hazza. And for this particular reason. So he went to the UK this week for his uncle's funeral, Lord Fellowes' funeral, right? And Royal News Network at RNN Royal News was the first to actually report on it on Twitter, that Prince Harry apparently was heading to the UK. Now, this is the thing, right? Hazza, as far as I'm concerned, has just lost his fight for UK taxpayer-funded security. He's currently going through the appeal process at the moment. He's turning around and he's saying, oh, it's so dangerous to come to the UK, blah, 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 blah. I need the security, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? He's just come in and out of the UK without anyone knowing until after the fact. Whatever appeal he's got going with the UK courts against our Home Office, against our government, he needs to drop right now. Because he's just going to be wasting so much more money now on this fight. Because he's just tanked it himself. He really, really has. As literally, I had Sue Smith on about 3-4 weeks ago on Royal Clubhouse. You can check that episode out. But Sue Smith says it better than me. This proves to me that Harry can go to the UK without all the massive security. Another instance that is sinking his case. Now, opinion, conspiracy theory, or whatever, John, do you agree with that assessment? Do you agree that he has damaged his case potentially with this notion that he's just come in and out of the UK without anyone knowing until after the fact?
Well, you make a very good point, Steph, and I would agree that potentially that what he has done could damage his case. There's no question about that. The one thing I will point out, though, I did look at the calendar. It has been approximately, I think, 29 or 30 days between the time that his uncle passed away and the funeral. And if people recall, I think the key criteria for him getting security when he came back to the UK was to give 28 days notice. So it's conceivable that he provided that 28 days notice. Security was able to be arranged. And then when he was in the UK, he got the security that he felt like he needed. So I'm not 100% convinced that this would damage his case if he did get that security. But if he did come in and he just said, hey, I want to be at that funeral no matter what, I'll take whatever security they can give me on short notice, then I would agree with you, Steph, that it is potentially damaging to the argument that he's trying to make about, oh, well, I just absolutely cannot be in the UK without this enhanced top level of security from the Met or whoever it is that provides it to him.
Well, to be fair, your kind of point of view also damages his case as well, in my opinion, because that's actually technically the status quo, which is whenever he wants to come to the UK, he needs to make an application to the Home Office 28 days beforehand. So Ravik, the committee behind it all that decides, can make a decision on what amount, what level of security he needs, this, that, and the other. Now, Prince Hazza's argument essentially is that's not good enough. He needs to have it whenever he needs it, whenever he comes over, without having to go through that process. But by going through that process, if he did do for Lord Fellowes' funeral, shows that it did actually work, that the status quo, in terms of what Ravik has decided, in terms of how to treat Prince Hazza when he comes to the UK, actually works. And so in that respect, he doesn't need anything more. And it shows that the whole process is tickety-boo and works fine. So in terms of that kind of perspective, do you see why that could still damage his case?
Yes, you make a good point. You make a good point. It's that when he requests security, it's available to him. And I think that really gets to what a lot of people have said all along, was that, look, this is really not a question of him, feeling like he's not secure. It's almost more petulance than anything else. He does not like to have to give 28 days notice to the Home Office. He just wants to be able to show up on demand and whip up a close protection unit for him, and he's just not likely to get that. He just needs to, he is the number two. He's the spare, as he would tell everybody, and yet he doesn't seem to want to deal with the circumstances that surround being the spare and not being the heir like his brother. So I do think that there's some petulance involved and him just not wanting to have to play by someone else's rules that have been thrust upon him. He just does not like to be told what to do. And he does not like to be told you need to consult your calendar and pick up the telephone and call. It just does not sit well with him. And I'm sure it doesn't sit well with his wife either, for that matter.
Well, on that bombshell, that is my Royal Zero of the week, Prince Harry. Live chat, you have had a poll. You've been able to vote. Who is your Royal Zero of the week? Is it Meg's companies that she's invested in? Clever, Kester, Sesta, however you want to pronounce it. Or is it Prince Hazza? I'm going to end the poll now, so let's see where we're at. So 190 of you voted. John won. So 74% of you voted for your Royal Zero of the week being Meg's companies, Clever and Kester, or Sester, with 25% voting for Prince Hazza. So thanks to the 25%. Appreciate your faces. With that being said, everyone watching on the live, stay exactly where you are. But for those watching on the replay, if you appreciated what came out of John's gob, and basically 74% of you on the live stream definitely did, then make sure you head on over to his Instagram at WitherspoonDC. It's the only way you're able to contact him if you've got any questions. He can't guarantee to answer all your questions, but it is a way to contact him nonetheless. So that is that option for you. And if you appreciated this particular segment, and of course you did, we had so much fun, then do make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe. Like, share, comment, all of that good stuff. Again, those watching on the live, stay exactly where you are. But for those watching on the replay, here are some videos that you may want to clickety-click, clickety-click.